Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, this is lesson number 6 of our commentary on Al-Murshid al-Mu'een ala al-Daruri min ulum al-Din by Imam Abdul Wahid ibn Ashir al-Andalusi al-Fasi rahimahullah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And we've reached to a chapter that speaks about the obligatory prayers and the preferable prayers and stuff like that. So let's start. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala mulana rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. Amma ba'd. قال الإمام عبد الواحد بن عاشر الأندلسي الفاسي رحمه الله تبارك وتعالى: فصل وخمس صلوات فرض عين وهي كفاية لميت دون مين فروضها التكبير أربعا دعاء ونية سلام سر تبعا وكالصلاة الغسل دفن وكفن دون استسقاء سنن فجر رغيبة وتقضى للزوال والفرض يقضى أبدا نديب نفل مطلقا وأكدت تحية ضحى تراويح تلت وقبل وتر مثل ظهر عصر وبعد مغرب وبعد ظهر. Okay, this chapter speaks about the prayers that are obligatory and the prayers that are strongly preferable and others that are only preferable, not strongly preferable, recommended or something like that. So let's see. Stopped here. Oh, still didn't go to that chapter. Okay, we stopped here in the recommended actions, recommended acts of the Salah. We still didn't take these things. Anyway, and the things that are makruh acts, unpreferable acts. Okay, let me pass on them quickly. He says, مندوبها تيامن مع السلام تأمين من صلى عدا جهر الإمام. It's recommended to turn the head to the right when saying the final salam, and to say Ameen silently, but not for the Imam after reciting the Fatiha aloud. So it's preferable to say Assalamu alaikum. With the kum, you turn your face a little bit to the right. And the Imam, when he prays by himself with loud voice, or when a person is praying by himself, he is asked to say Ameen, or even without loud voice. In the final salam, the Imam in the prayer where he says وَلَضَّالِّينَ, people behind him say Ameen not with loud voice, with silent voice. And if somebody's praying by himself, he says Ameen, and the Imam, when he's praying silently, he says Ameen, but when he's praying with loud voice, he doesn't say Ameen. He doesn't say Ameen. This is the Maliki opinion. Okay? Then he says here, but not for the Imam after reciting the Fatiha aloud. Yes. So the Imam, when he's reciting Fatiha aloud, he says, غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen, but he doesn't say Ameen. And they don't say it with loud voice, according to the Maliki school, but they say it silently. I mean, with low voice, yeah. وقول ربنا لك الحمد عدا من أما والقنوت في الصبح بدا. And the saying ربنا لك الحمد, O Allah, praises are for you, but not for the Imam, and the qunut for the Salat al-Subh. That means when the Imam says سمع الله لمن حمده, people behind him say ربنا ولك الحمد, but the Imam doesn't say that. But and the Imam and the person, if he's praying by himself, he says سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد, both of them. So the Imam says it only سمع الله لمن حمده, and the mu'min behind him says ربنا ولك الحمد, and the person who is praying by himself says both of them. This is the Maliki school. I'm not telling you what is more supported by evidence. I'm telling you what is the Maliki school. But to know what is more strongly more stronger opinion, that's another story. ردا وتسبيح السجود والركوع صدل يد تكبيره مع الشروع. The wearing of a clock, the saying of Subhanallah during the prostration and the bowing, letting one's arms hang by one's side, saying Allah Akbar when beginning the movement of the Salah. So now what does he want to say about this? He says that it is permissible or preferable or recommended to wear a clock when you're praying like this, or like anything you put it on your shoulders. And when you bow down, you say Subhan Rabbiyal Azim, or you say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, or Subbuhun Quddus Rabbul Malaikatu. Malikis don't have any number and don't have any preferable saying than others. You just praise Allah and say Subhanallah. And the same thing in the sujood, the same thing for the sujood. When you prostrate, you say the same thing. And they say it's preferable during the prostration and the bowing, letting one's arms hang by one's side. That means when you say Allahu Akbar, you leave your hands like this. You don't put right hand on left hand. This is one of the Maliki's opinions. But there are many other scholars that say no, the sunnah is to put right hand on the left hand, and that's more stronger and supported by lots of evidence, and it might reach to 18 narrations. It's the opinion of Imam Malik and Muwatta, and it's the opinion of his great students in Medina and in Egypt and in Iraq and in Andalus, like Hafiz Abu Umar ibn Abd al-Barr, like Abu al-Walid al-Baji, and like others, and other scholars that came after that, and they even wrote books about that. And I have a full video that I spoke about this by evidence and by scholars who spoke about that. You can go back to that in my YouTube channel. I don't want to go in details about this. So actually, it's not true that the Maliki opinion is just to leave your hands like that. There are other opinions that say no, that is makruh, that is something, if you do it in your prayer and you meant to follow the sunnah, therefore it's something that is recommended. And Al-Qadi Iyad mentioned it in his book Qawaid al-Islam as one of the things that are recommended in prayer. Yes. That means when you start, you go Allahu Akbar, you full the faith. When you stand, you sit down again, Allahu Akbar. So the takbir comes with the act. It doesn't come before it or after it. That is the sunnah. وَبَعْدَ أَن يَقُومَ مِنْ وُسْطَاهُ وَعَقْدُهُ الثَّلَاثَ مِنْ يُمْنَاهُ. And after getting up from the middle sitting after the second rak'ah, you say Allahu Akbar with the act that you did. What does he want to say? Sitting up, that means the second rak'ah, And the third rak'ah, you don't do takbir with the act. Until you stand up, you say, Allahu Akbar. That's what they say. That's the Maliki opinion. But when you stand up after saying tashahhud, the tashahhud al-awsat, you say it with it, Allahu Akbar, and you full it. Okay? طيب. وعقده الثلاثة من يمناه لدى التشهد وبسط ما خلاه. That means when saying the tashahhud, and clinching the three smaller fingers of the right hand when saying the tashahhud, while letting the other two fingers remain straight, like this. They say, Maliki's say you do it like this, and you put it over your laps or close to your knees, and you go like this from right to left. It's not up to down, it's right to left. This is one of the opinions. The other opinion is up to down. So this is the Maliki opinion about that. So he says here, letting the other two fingers remain straight and moving one's index finger while saying the tashahhud. Yes, I forgot to tell you the qunut. The qunut here is only in Salat al-Subh. In Salat al-Subh, when you finish the second rak'ah, and you recite the Fatiha and the Surah, and you stand a little bit, and then you recite this dua silently. اللهم إنا نستعين بك ونستهديك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك ونثني عليك الخير كله ونشكرك ولا نكفرك ونخلع ونترك من يفجرك اللهم إياك نعبد ولك نصلي ونسجد وإليك نسعى ونحفد نرجو رحمتك ونخاف عذابك إن عذابك الجد بالكفار ملحق. Or you can say any dua you want, and then it's only in Salat al-Subh according to the Malikis, and then you bow down, and then you finish your salah, because that's in the second rak'ah. So this is one of the recommended things to do. طيب. And moving one's index finger while saying the tashahhud. You move it like this. So your hand is like this, and you move it like this. Okay? والبطن من فخذ رجال يبعدون ومرفقا من ركبة إذ يسجدون. The belly should not touch the thigh of a man, nor the elbow is his knee, nor the elbow his knee when prostrating. So when you prostrate, you make your hand like this, and your belly doesn't. You don't put it on your laps, on your thigh. So you pray in a way that all these parts are far from each other. This is for the man. But the woman, especially if she's in the view of other men, she's asked to pray and put her parts to each other, close to each other, so that she doesn't show to them. Okay? Because in Islam, the woman is always asked to be unseen, invisible, covered, and conserved. وصفة الجلوس تمكين اليد من ركبتيه في الركوع وزد نصبهما قراءة المأموم في سرية وضع اليدين فاقتفي. The specific way of sitting for the tashahhud, placing the hands firmly on the knees for the ruku', and also his knees should be straight during the bowing. The person behind the imam reciting to himself whenever the imam recites silently, placing the hands level while the ears with the ears. لدى السجود حذو أذن وكذا رفع اليدين عند الإحرام خذا. In the prostration, and likewise raising the hands for the takbiratul ihram. Okay, you are asked to raise up your hands when you prostrate, and when you bow down, you put your hands, put them on your knees, and your hands are far from your body, The the person behind the Imam is asked to recite Surah Al-Fatiha when the Imam is reciting silently. When the Imam is reciting silently. And and when you want to, when you prostrate, you are asked to put your hands close to your ears, not like this, close to your ears. So the hands are supposed to be on the same place where the ears are. So he says, placing the hands level with the ears in the prostration. And likewise, raising the hands to the Takbiratul Ihram. Yes, when you say Allahu Akbar, you are asked to raise up your hands to the ears like this. طيب. تطويله صبحا وظهرا سورتين توسط العشاء وقصر الباقيين. These are the things that you have to try when you're by yourself or when you're in Imam with people. You have to train them. He should recite long surahs in the subh and dhuhr salats. So the subh is only 2 rak'ahs, so you make it a bit long. And the dhuhr, because people are in their work and stuff like that, so they might come to prayer a bit late. So when you make it long, they can pray with you. He should recite long surahs in the subh and dhuhr salats. Medium length ones in Isha. Isha is medium. And shorter ones for the 2 other salats. Actually, Asr is similar to Isha. But Maghrib normally is short. Why? Because the time between Maghrib and Isha is short. So therefore, you pray with short surahs and you don't make them long so that people can benefit from the time between the 2 prayers. Is that always? No. If you make it sometimes long or sometimes short for a reason, it's not a big deal. That's what the Prophet ﷺ sometimes did. So sometimes he prayed Fajr with short surahs because he was on a journey or on travel. And sometimes he prayed Maghrib with long surahs. And so it differs from time to time. Makruhat al-Salah, the makruh acts in the Salah. He says, وَكَرِهُ بَسْمَلَةً تَعُوذَ فِي الْفَرْضِ وَالسُّجُودَ فِي الثَّوْبِ كَذَا كوراء إمامة وبعض كمه وحمل شيء فيه أو في فمه. He says, and they have deemed makruh the Bismillah, saying أعوذ بالله, I seek refuge in the Fard Salah and prostrating on cloth. So it is unpreferable according to the Malikis to say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. No, you just say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen directly. Why? Because they said the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr and Umar, all of them radiallahu anhum, used to start with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen without reciting anything before it. So therefore, this is in Salat al-Faridah. But in Salat al-Nafil, it's open. You can do what you want to do. And it is unpreferable in the Maliki school to pray on something like a carpet or whatever. And they would like and prefer to pray on the ground to show you're humble to God Almighty. And if you pray on something that is made from trees or something like that, to protect your head or your body, it's not a big deal. But to pray on expensive carpets and stuff like that, it's makruh in the Maliki school. And the problem that most people, they have carpets in their house and they go putting another carpet on it as if the first carpet is dirty and the second carpet is clean. And they say, well, you know, the house, people start going with their shoes and stuff like that. Who said that if you go with your shoes, you're going to dirty yourself? So actually exaggerating these things is something against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It is recommended or unrecommended to have something with you. To have something with you. For example, the fall of the turban on part of the sleeve of, or carrying something in it, or one's mouth. Yeah, you have to focus on your prayer. So if you do anything that disturbs you, that is makruh. So for example, uh, you're not allowed to prostrate on your turban. You see my turban like this? If you prostrate on it and it's close to your forehead, that means your forehead is far from the ground. You didn't put your forehead on the ground. And that would nullify your prayer. But if it was something that is thick, something that is thin, so it's only a thin uh, part, like this, for example. The turban is not so like this, or like the thing that is worn in Arabia or in lots of places. It's not a turban that you turn it on your head. It's only so thick. That's not a big deal, actually, especially if you put it because the weather is hot or so cold and you just protect your head from something there. That's not a big deal. The same thing for putting a carpet because the ground is not clean, or there's something that might dirty your clothes or whatever. And the same thing if you put something in your hand, or put something inside your turban, or something inside your mouth. It's going to prevent you from reciting. So all these things, for example, a gum or something, you put it inside your mouth. All these things will prevent you from praying properly. Reciting, it says, قراءة لدى السجود والركوع تفكر القلب بما نفى الخشوع. Reciting during the prostration or the bowing, allowing the heart to think about anything which humility, which is against being focusing on prayer. So actually, you are asked to focus on prayer. You're not supposed to recite Quran when you're bowing or prostrating, because Quran is not for that place. Quran is for some place where you stand up. When you bow down, that is a humble way to show that you are close to God Almighty and you are humble to God. So you don't recite Quran there. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Inni nuhitu an aqra al-Quran raki'an aw sajida." I was prevented from reciting Quran when I am bowing down and prostrating. وعبث والالتفات والدعاء أثناء قراءة كذا الركعة. And absent-minded play, turning away from the Qibla and making dua during the recitation, and likewise in the bowing. So when you bow down or you prostrate, focus on your prayer and don't start playing. Don't start playing. Like some people, they don't pay attention to their prayer. They don't pay attention to their prayer, and they might do things that would nullify their prayer, actually. So any type of playing, it might nullify the prayer. And putting your head like this, or looking there and there, that is all. That Prophet, it's like Satan is stealing from your prayer. He's stealing your rewards. So you have to focus on the ground, not look here or there. Okay? فرقعة الأصابع تخصر تغميض عين تابع. Interlocking or cracking the fingers, doing like this or like this. You're cracking your fingers. Crack your fingers. That's a type of play inside the prayer. You're not serious. And putting your hands like this. When you're praying, you put your hands like this. and hip when standing, closing one's eyes. Closing one's eyes. Then he says Fard al-Ain and Fard al-Kifaya. This is the thing that we stopped on. So قال فصل وخمس صلوات فرض عين وهي كفاية لميت دون مين. He says section, this is the new section that we're going to start. He says, and the 5 prayers are a fard, obligation. And the salah over the dead person is a communal responsibility without doubts. So we have Salat al-Subh, wal-Dhuhr, wal-Asr, wal-Maghrib, wal-Isha. 5 salawat are obligatory for every Muslim. You start praying when you're 7 years old. Your parents are asked to be serious with you when you're 10 years old. And after that, if a Muslim doesn't pray at all, then he deserves to be killed by the states. The judge will call him and tell him, if you don't pray, you're going to be killed. And he waits and waits until the time goes out. If the time went out and they didn't pay attention, he's not asked to pray. That's it. Because it's like he lost his prayer. But if the time is squeezed and he still doesn't want to pray until time came, he is asked to be killed. Because, okay, is he killed as a Muslim or as a kafir because he didn't pray? Ibn Habib, Abdul Malik ibn Habib, the Cordobist scholar and one of the great students of Imam Malik. Actually, he didn't meet Imam Malik. He met his Ibn al-Majishun, one of the great students of Imam Malik in Medina. He said that if somebody doesn't pray, he's not a Muslim anymore. And therefore he sees that when he's killed because he's not a Muslim. He apostatized. Where the majority of scholars say no, if he's killed as a Muslim, but he doesn't get the reward. He doesn't get the reward. Khams salawat fardu ayn. Yes, and if he prays, he gets his reward as a Muslim. So the majority say if he doesn't pray, he's a Muslim, but he deserves to be punished, and that is by the penalty sentence. If he is killed, we treat him as a Muslim. We shroud him, we wash his body, we pray on him, and then we bury him as a Muslim. And the funeral prayer is fardu kifaya. That means if some people did it, that's it. They are not asked to do it, all of them. But some of them have to do it, and they have to pray on him, the funeral prayer. They have to bury him. All these are furud kifaya. Prayer is a type of prayer we pray on somebody who died. And the Imam puts him besides him. If he's a woman, he stands close to her chest. If he's a man, he stands in the middle of him, or vice versa. And when he stands there, he says Allahu Akbar, and he starts praising Allah and praying for this guy. So the Malikis don't have reciting Fatiha or anything in the prayer, the funeral prayer. Just praise, and you have 4 takbiras. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The 4th one you say Assalamu Alaikum once only. So what are the pillars of this prayer? He says فروضها التكبير 4 دعاء ونية سلام سر تبعة. Its fard obligations are the takbir 4 times. That means Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Assalamu Alaikum. This is Salat al-Janazah. Takbir 4 times. The dua, the intention, and the saying is salam silently. So this is Salat al-Janazah. Yes. And وَكَالصَّلَاةِ الْغُسْلُ دَفْنُ وَكَفَنْ. Yes, as we said, that the prayer, funeral prayer, is fardu kifaya. Even fard obligations are the takbir 4 times, the dua, the intention that this salah is salat al-janazah, or I'm praying on this man or this woman or this baby or whatever, and saying the salam silently. Saying the salam silently. And like the salah, the ghusl, burial and shrouding the corpse are communal responsibilities. That means if some of the community takes care of this, the others aren't blamed for not taking care of this. While the witr, okay, now after finishing the obligation prayers and fard al-kifaya, furud al-kifaya, now he's going to tell us what are as-sunan al-mu'akkada. What are sunan al-mu'akkada? He says witrun, kusufun, eidun, istisqa, sunan. These 4 are sunanun mu'akkada. That means you are strongly recommended to do them. What are these? While the witr, eclipse, Eid, and rain salah are sunnahs. Here, sunnatum mu'akkada. Not only sunnahs, they are strongly recommended. What are witr? Witr is 1 rak'ah. You pray after salat al-isha. But it's recommended to pray before it 2 rak'ahs or 4 or whatever. Okay? What you recite in it, you can recite in the 3 rak'ahs, سبح اسم ربك الأعلى قل يا أيها الكافرون. In the last rak'ah, قل والله أحد. This is the witr. This is the witr. Al-kusuf, what is kusuf? When the sun eclipses, you are asked to go with an imam and everybody gathers each other. And then the imam prays a long prayer. He says Allahu Akbar, and he recites a surah similar to Al-Baqarah. And it says Allahu Akbar, bows down, long, bowing down like the recitation that he recited. Then he says Sami Allahu liman hamidallah Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And then he recites a long surah like Surah Ali Imran. And then Allahu Akbar, bows down, long bowing. And then Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And then he prostrates and sits down and prostrates and then comes back and the same thing. So you have 2 ruku', 2 rak'ahs in every 1 ruku'. 2 ruku' in every rak'ah. 2 ruku' in every rak'ah. Did you get this? Okay. So it's a long prayer, and after you finish prayer, the imam goes to people, looks at people, and gives them and preaches to them and tells them, guys, ask Allah to forgive us and stuff like that. Because if the sun doesn't, that's a sign. That's a sign. So it shows us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change anything. And we ask Allah refuge, and we ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to not punish us for our sins. Yes. Eid. We have 2 holiday prayers. Eidan. After Ramadan and after Al-Hajj. This is Eid al-Fitr. This is Eid al-Adha. What you do with these salawats, how do you pray them? The Imam comes and starts the salah. Allahu Akbar 7 times. And he recites some surah like Sabbih isma rabbika al-a'la. And then on the second rak'ah, 6 times Allahu Akbar. And then he recites Fatiha and surah like هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ الْغَاشِيَةِ. And then when he finishes, he looks towards the people and he gives 2 speeches. He starts them with Allahu Akbar 7 times, or the same as he made in the Salah. People say after him Allahu Akbar, and then he reminds them if it's Fitr, he speaks about Zakat al-Fitr and stuff like that, and about Ramadan and stuff like that. If it's Zakat, if it's Eid al-Adha, he speaks about slaughtering the ram and stuff like that. All it has to do with that. This is Salatul Eidain. It's strongly recommended for everybody that is asked to go to Salatul Jumu'ah. And it has 2 speeches after it, like Salatul Jumu'ah. طيب. Eidun Istisqa. Istisqa, actually, it's when the rain doesn't come down and people are starving. So what do? They go to a land and they pray there. What do they pray? They're gathered, they gather each other, they wear humble clothes. They don't wear beautiful clothes like in the Eid. They wear humble clothes. It is recommended to fast before that and to give charities and stuff like that. And then you come humble and you start praying 2 rakahs, normal rakahs, with loud voice. The Imam prays like the Jumu'ah. And then he looks at people and he gives 2 speeches as well. And he says astaghfirullah. More, doesn't say takbir, it says astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, asking Allah istighfar. And then in the end of it, he looks at the Qibla and starts praising Allah and asking Him. And then he flips over his clock. That means the right side to the left side and the left side to the right side. Not up to down, no. Right side to the left side. And that's as if he's saying, may Allah change the situation as we changed our clock. And the people, if they wear some clock, they do the same thing. If they have a clock on them, they make the same thing. It's like you are optimist. طيب. So these are all sunnahs. And it's good to take your children, your wives, women and everybody to participate in Salat al-Eidain and Salat al-Istisqa. Everybody goes, but to be aware that women have to wear conservative full hijab so that they don't go attracting people or making another sin. Instead of asking Allah to forgive them, Allah will curse them more than He cursed them. Sallallahu Afiyah. فجر رغيبة وتقضى للزوال والفرض يقضى أبدا وبالتوال. He says that Salat al-Fajr, that means the 2 rak'ahs before Salat al-Subh, are raghiba. Raghiba, it's more recommended than only nawafil or sunnah. The Fajr is a particularly desired sunnah because the Prophet ﷺ said several hadith that show its importance. So he never left these 2 rak'ahs before Fajr and al-Witr. So they are strongly recommended actually. So the Prophet ﷺ, even when he travels, when he does all these things, he doesn't leave these prayers. You see? And can be made up. Yeah. And now if you didn't have time to pray the Raghibat al-Fajr because you entered the masjid, you found the Imam praying, so you pray it after the sun rises up. Until what? Until until after the noon. After noon, dhuhr, you can't make it again. That's it. It went. So therefore he says, can be made up right up to the sunnah zenith. To the sun's zenith. Long the delay, and it is ordered, and in its order. So any obligatory prayer, if you forgot it, you have to make it. If you have lots of prayers that are for you forgot, you have to make them in all times. There are times that you're not supposed to, unless you're busy in your work, your job, or something that is important. But in other things, you pray these prayers. It is said that if you pray 5 prayers a day, 5 prayers, it means you lost lots of days. So you come every day, you pray your obligatory Fajr, 5 Fajr beside it. Dhuhr, 5 Dhuhrs beside it. Asr, 5, until you finish. That means you did what you have to do. وقبل وتر مثل ظهر عصري وبعد مغرب وبعد ظهر. It is recommended to do the nafila at all the time. all the times. Although particular importance in the is attached to the salah of greeting, the mid-morning salah and the tarawih. Okay, we have prayers that are open, just pray whenever you want to pray. But there are some prayers that are more important, like what? Like when you enter the masjid, you're not asked to sit down until you pray 2 rakahs. It's greeting the masjid. And like the salat al-duha, after the sun rises up in the morning, you are asked to pray 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 rakahs. Up to you. It's up to you. And those rakahs are as if you paid 360 charities. They have the reward of 360 charities. In Ramadan, you are asked to pray Salat al-Tarawih after Isha, which is from 11 or to 23 rak'ahs or 21 rak'ahs. It differs, doesn't have any fixed number. It differs from a place to another, and you are asked to pray it. All these prayers, the Sunnah and Nawafil, are asked to be at home, unless for Tarawih, for example, if you are afraid that people won't pray it in masjid anymore, no, you pray it in the masjid, that'll be better. Or else, if the masajid is all filled with people, it is good to pray it at home, yes. وَقَبْلَ وِتْرٍ مِثْلَ, yes. Nafila salats are performed before the witr, before dhuhr and asr, and after maghrib and after dhuhr. So you are asked to pray 2 rak'ahs before witr, and you are asked to pray 2 or 4 rak'ahs before dhuhr, and 2 after dhuhr, and 2 after maghrib, and 2 before asr, and 2 after isha. So these are called as-sunan al-rawatib. As-sunan al-rawatib actually are 12. What are these 12? 2 before fajr, 2 before fajr, 4 before dhuhr, 4, that means 2, 2 after dhuhr, 2 after maghrib, and 2 after isha. These are called as-sunan al-rawatib. But for al-asr, it's not from the sunan al-rawatib, but there are several hadith that ask you to do this salah. I was going to add to today, the obligation, the sujood sahu, prostration for forgetfulness, but I'll leave that to the next lecture, inshallah, so that we can focus on it, so that you can focus on it and understand it properly. Thank you very much for being patient with me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.